Sehr geehrte Aktionärinnen und Aktionäre, sehr geehrte Aktionärsvertreter, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Mein Name ist Heinz-Gerd Wente. Als Vorsitzender des Aufsichtsrates eröffne ich die diesjährige...
As Chairman of the Supervisory Board, I'm pleased to open this year's AGM and will also chair the meeting in accordance with the Articles of Association. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to you all, also on behalf of the Management Board and the Supervisory Board. Dr. Gulich is the Notary Public and will be responsible for the minutes of today's AGM, who would also like to extend a warm welcome to. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to the students of the Vocational School 1 in Gifhorn and the Karl-Hahn School in Wolfsburg, as well as students of the Otto Bennemann School in Braunschweig, whom we have invited as guests. And I've just seen that some of our trainees are also here today. I'd also like to extend a welcome to them as well. Ladies and gentlemen,
Meine Damen und Herren, ich möchte zunächst...
Let me first of all point out that during the course of this session, it is not permitted to take photographs, audio recordings. The cameras you can see here are only used to transmit the image to the screens in the hall and to the monitors in the foyers, as well as to the end of the chairman's report to transmit a live stream, which can be accessed via our website on the web. Individual shareholders will not be recorded during this. I'm also happy to allow representatives of the press to make film, audio and video recordings of the events on the stage until the end of the Executive Board report. I would like them not to take individual recordings of shareholders without their consent in order to protect their personal rights. I would also like to ask you to switch off or mute your mobile phones. Furthermore, the operator of the Contrast Park here in Wolfsburg has said that smoking is permitted, is absolutely prohibited in the hall as an entirety. I would like to ask you to absorb this. If you wish to smoke, you can use the area in front of the entrance. Please note that if you leave the attendance area, you will be removed from the attendance list. When you re-enter the attendance area, you will be re-registered via your admission ticket. The attendance area also includes the main hall, and the foyers up to the entrance and exit controls, including the sanitary facilities. In the foyers and the sanitary facilities, the proceedings of the AGM will be broadcast via monitors and loudspeakers. Shareholders who wish to take part and are in the attendance area can take part, but votes can only be cast here in the main hall. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the agenda, I would like to point out that there have been no changes to the Supervisory Board since the last AGM on May 25, 2023. The following changes have taken place in the Executive Board. Mr. Burkhard Becker stepped down on 31 March 2024 and is now retired. At the same time, he handed over his responsibilities as CFO to Birgit Potrafki, who has been a member of the Executive Board since February 1st, 2024. The Supervisory Board would also like to thank Mr. Becker for his many years of service. The Supervisory Board, at its today's meeting, also appointed Ms. Birgit Dietzer as a further member of the board. Ms. Dietzer will be active from the 1st of September 2024 as Director of Labour and will replace Mr. Kiekbusch, who retires on that date. Ms. Petrovsky and Ms. Dietz will be given the opportunity today to introduce themselves personally. Ms. Petrovsky, could you please introduce yourself briefly?
Ja, guten Tag.
Yes, hello. My name is Birgit Petrovsky. I would also like to welcome you all here today to this AGM. It is my first one. I'm very excited. I come from this area. I was born in Hanover and live in the area between Hanover and Braunschweig. I studied economics at Hanover University and then spent 2 years in China, where I also learned to speak Mandarin and gained professional experience. And then for 20 years I worked with the Bosch Group domestically and abroad in various entities. I have gained lots of experience in that, how to manage a company and how to manage people, and also have gained experience in the transformation of the car supplier industry. And it is a great honor for me to now be part of the Salzgitter AG, to make my contribution to the transformation of the Salzgitter AG, and where many transformations are taking place, environmentally speaking and societally speaking. So I'd like to thank you for the trust placed in me, and I'm looking forward to taking an active part in moving Salzgitter AG forward. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Petrovke. I'd now like to ask Frau Dietze to introduce herself briefly. So let me make a change. I said she would be taking on the role from the 1st of September as Labour Director. That's not true. From the 1st of September, she'll be entering the Executive Board, and then from the 1st of January next year, we'll be taking on the role as Labour Director when Mr. Kiekbusch retires at the end of December 2024. So thank you very much. Hello, everybody. I would like to thank the Supervisory Board for its trust placed in me. And let me introduce myself. Birgit Dietze is my name. I am 51 years old, married, one grown-up child. I'm from Berlin. I am qualified as an industrial purchaser, and we come from a company with 8,000 members, and then studied economics and also studied for law, and then worked in a legal practice in Berlin and focused on labor law. But my last 25 years have been spent in the core of my work was working with shop stewards and employees and employers, and trying to build a bridge between these parties, and have been facing the current economic and labor transformative processes. And at the various sites, I've tried to ensure that employment was up and that labor relations were as good as they can be. And so Salzgitter is a steel and technology group, and they have taken forward-moving steps from an early date, and I'm very happy to now be here to play a role on the side of the employees, bridging as a liaison between the Supervisory Board members and the Executive Board, and so that we can gain added value and transform the company, and therefore to be and help to link and cleave social entities. Thank you very much, Ms. Dietze. I would now like to note that all members of the Supervisory Board and Executive Board are here today. Ladies and gentlemen, today's AGM has been convened by publication in the Federal Gazette on April 17, 2024, with notification of the full agenda and the resolutions proposed by the Supervisory Board and, as applicable, the Executive Board, agenda items 2 to 9. I would also like to declare that the AGM has been convened in due form and time. In addition to the announcement in the Federal Gazette, the convening of the AGM has, according to the Management Board, been communicated to intermediaries, so shareholder associations and other parties entitled to information in accordance with the provisions. A notice convening the AGM was forwarded for publication on April 17, and to those media outlets expected to disseminate the information throughout the European Union. I note that the following documents have been published in accordance with provisions since convening of the AGM on the company's website, and also available here. And the website name is www.salzgitterag.com.agm. At the convening of today's AGM, including the agenda with the management proposal resolutions, the adopted annual financial statements of Salzgitter AG and the approved consolidated financial statements, each as of December 31, 2023, the combined management report of Salzgitter AG and the group for financial year 2023, the report of the Supervisory Board, and the Executive Board proposals for the appropriation of net retained profits. These documents and the explanatory notes of the Management Board on pursuant to laws in Germany and the German Commercial Code and the Management Board. Those are also available on the company's website, as mentioned. And it is also accessible today here at the AGM at the registration table. The list of shareholders and representatives in attendance is currently being compiled. I will announce the attendance at the latest before the first vote. You will be able to view the list of participants at the table once it has been completed. Attendance changes are recorded electronically and documented as supplements and added to the list of participants. I would also ask those shareholders and representatives who wish to leave the AGM without voting to present their admission ticket at the exit checkpoint so that the list of participants can be corrected accordingly. This also applies throughout the course of the meeting, also after votes have been cast, up to the point at which I expressly close the meeting. Shareholders only wish to leave the meeting temporarily must register again when they re-enter the meeting using their admission ticket. You also have the option of authorizing another participant at the AGM or company proxies to exercise your voting rights. In the event that you wish to authorize another participant, please complete the details of the authorized person on the back of your admission ticket and sign it. There is now a picture on the screen. Then please go to the exit control together with the person to be authorized and hand the admission ticket to the authorized person there. This is also shown on the screen right now. If you wish to authorize the proxies appointed by the company, please contact the entry and exit control person. There you can authorize and instruct the company's proxies electronically using the tablets available. I would like to point out that the proxies, one of whom will be here in the main hall to my left and the other in the entrance area on the first floor, will not accept any instructions to speak or ask questions or propose motions. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start with the agenda, here are a few organizational matters. In the common interest of conducting our AGM without delays, all items on the agenda will be discussed in a general debate following the report of the Executive Board for the past financial year. This general debate will take place, and all shareholders and representatives who wish to speak will be able to speak on all items of the agenda and ask questions on all agenda items. Following the debate, all votes on the agenda will be taken. In order to conduct these votes, I would like to point out that voting is only possible here in the main hall, not in the foyer and not in any other rooms. All of those who wish to cast their vote must therefore go to or be in the main hall when I call for votes. The computerized attendance registration system will be used for voting. Please note that if you have more than one admission ticket, you must register each one at the accreditation desk on the first floor. Only one registered admission ticket can be used for voting. If you would like to speak on items on the agenda, please go to the table marked Request to Speak here at the front on my left so that the form can be filled out with your name. And then present your admission ticket. In order to enable you to prepare accordingly, I will call the current speaker and the following speaker. In the interest of all shareholders at our AGM, I would like you to present your statements and questions in a concise fashion and limit your remarks to items on today's agenda. At the moment, there is no limit on speaking time, but I would like to ask you to, in consideration of all members here, to not speak more than 10 to 15 minutes here at the AGM. I reserve the right to change individual procedures, for example, the voting procedure or speaking times, if it proves necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to point out now that we will be taking a break after the report of the Management Board and the shareholder speeches of about 30 minutes. Please use this break to have a lunch. A lunch will be available at the start of the break in the upper foyer. After that, the Executive Board and Supervisory Board will then respond to your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever attended one of our AGMs before, you will know that we always like to remember those who have passed away in our company since the last AGM. I would like to do that here today as well. So for those who have passed away, they have worked hard for our company. This year, we would also like to remember not only those former members of our company, but also those people who have died in connection with Russia's war against the Ukraine, the conflict in the Middle East, and other armed conflicts in the world. We are aware that this is a tragedy for many of our fellow humans. May I ask all those present here to now pause for a moment of silence. Thank you for your empathy. We will now move on to the agenda. First of all, let me present the agenda items, points 1 to 9. They are now on the screen. One is the presentation of adopted and annual financial statements of Salzgitter AG and the approved consolidated financial statements as of December 31st, 2023, with the combined management report and the report of the Supervisory Board. Second, the resolution of the appropriation of the balance sheet profit. Third, resolution on the discharge of the members of the Executive Board. Fourth, resolution on the discharge of the members of the Supervisory Board. Fifth, resolution on the appointment of the auditor for financial year 2024. Sixth, resolution on the approval of the remuneration report. Seventh, resolution on the approval of the remuneration system for the members of the Executive Board. And eighth, resolution on the remuneration for members of the Supervisory Board. Ninth, resolution on the amendment of Section 8 of the Articles of Association with regard to written resolutions of the Supervisory Board. The invitation includes the resolutions proposed by the Executive Board and the Management Board and the Supervisory Board, and the complete wording of the invitation. And these are also available for inspection at the appropriate table here in the hall. Before the report of the Executive Board, I would like to briefly report on the work of the Supervisory Board in 2023. In the past financial year, the Supervisory Board met for 6 main meetings and the constitutional meeting of the newly elected Supervisory Board. At those meetings, it discussed with the Executive Board the course of business and the situation of the group, as well as significant business transactions and relevant changes in detail. Between the meetings, the Supervisory Board also was continuously informed about developments in the individual divisions and at the major group companies. We also scrutinized deviations in performance from plans as presented at the beginning of the year. The Supervisory Board's work in 2023 focused mainly on 3 topics. Firstly, throughout the year, the future topic of low CO2 steel production with the Salzgitter program. As you know, iron ore has to be smelted using coal as a reducing agent and energy source. This results in considerable carbon dioxide emission. And for a number of years, the European Union has required quantity-based emission allowances to be purchased. This is not only associated with considerable costs. We also want to make the best possible contribution to achieving the goal of significantly reducing both national and global CO2 emissions. In order to achieve this, it will be necessary to introduce completely new processes in steel production. This will involve major investments over the medium term. This is the reason the Supervisory Board initially at a special meeting discussed this complex topic in March 23 and then granted an extended investment approval for the first stage of the Salzgitter program at its ordinary meeting. An extraordinary meeting of the Supervisory Board also took place in February, which focused on the Salzgitter program and in particular discussed the possible content and schedule of the next implementation stage. Secondly, the Supervisory Board also focused on the future composition of the Executive Board, in particular the extension of Mr. Groebler's appointment until the end of September 2029 and the succession of Mr. Becker and Mr. Kickbusch. In this latter context, the Supervisory Board also initiated and carried out search and selection processes. As a result, we have been able to present the successes today. Finally, the Supervisory Board also closely supported the Executive Board in the implementation of the efficiency programs. These were consistently continued, and the earnings improvement potential resulting from the measures up to 2026 was increased to between euro 200 and 250 million euros. You can also read more about the activities of the board in the written report of the Supervisory Board from page 7 onwards of the annual report. Before moving on to the management report, I would also like to give you a few explanations on the proposals of the Supervisory Board. Under point 2 of the agenda, it is proposed that a dividend of 45 euro cents per dividend-bearing share is distributed for the 2023 financial year. The Supervisory Board is of the opinion that this proposal represents an appropriate balance between the justified dividend interests of the shareholders and the company's need to retain earnings. Under item 5 of the agenda, the board proposes that EY GmbH & Co. KG Wirtschaftsprüfungsgesellschaft is appointed as auditor for 2024 financial year. This company has been working with us since 2020. The audit committee of the board has monitored the audit activities and is satisfied with the quality of the audit so that we can propose in good faith that this company be reappointed as auditor. It is intended that EY will also be commissioned to audit the company's sustainability report. And item 6 of the agenda is proposed that the report to be prepared for the 2023 financial year on the remuneration of the members of the Executive Board and the Supervisory Board be approved. Items 7 and 8 of the agenda are the approval of the remuneration system for the members of the Executive Board and the remuneration of the members of the Supervisory Board, and is to be decided as per schedule. Finally, item 9 is the proposal that the company's Article of Association be amended to the effect that they no longer specify the form in which the Supervisory Board should initiate the written adoption of resolutions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to ask Mr. Groebler, Chairman of the Executive Board of Salzgitter AG, to present his supplementary comments on the Management Report and the Group Management Report 2023, and to provide the AGM with a report on current business.
Thank you, Mr. Wente. Dear shareholders, dear friends of Salzgitter AG, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome you here today to this year's annual general meeting. I'm also happy that we meet here in Wolfsburg in person. Once again this year we have opted for a face-to-face event because after all there is no substitute for personal interaction which can't be replaced by anything online. I also want to welcome those who are watching live in the live stream. I would like to talk about 3 topics today. One is the social responsibility as a company in Germany and Europe, the progress in implementing the Salzgitter 2030 strategy, and of course, as was announced, the key financial figures 2023 and give you a forecast of the current year. Ladies and gentlemen, steel is indispensable for our industry. Be it the automotive industry, white goods, that is washing machines, refrigerators, other large household appliances, the construction industry, or plant engineering. Steel is the starting point of a wide variety of value chains. And to guarantee its availability, it's important, especially in these times, it is very important that we produce it in Germany as well. Your Salzgitter AG is very well positioned here. We make an important contribution to geostatic independence of Germany and the EU. The past 2 years have made very clear that we have seen that this is a value in itself that should not be underestimated. Think of the threats to the country's energy supply, which could only be countered with great effort and large costs. And we have made our contribution here because thanks to the mapping of the value chain from the beginning to the end, we were able, for example, to quickly build the connecting pipelines of the LNG terminals in the North Sea in winter 2023 and make sure that we make our contribution that they could be taken into operation in this winter. And this is the responsibility that we want to live up to in the future as well, and we will do so. Just as important it is to be as a pioneer of decarbonization in Germany to act this way because that enables our customers to achieve their own climate targets. Ladies and gentlemen, Salzgitter AG is in the midst of the biggest transformation in the company's history. I think this can be well said so. And of course, today I'm going to talk about plants, investments, and so on. But we don't talk about people, steel, and technology for nothing. Machines, brands, and locations are not the core of the company alone. The core of the company are its people, our employees. And I would therefore first and foremost, and I include my colleagues on the boards here, to thank our over 25,000 employees for their dedication and commitment for our Salzgitter AG in the past financial year. Without them, without our colleagues, we could neither master the challenges from operative business, which are big at the moment, and neither those of the transformation, which are big as well. And also, we would like to thank our colleagues from Co-Determination, which has been absolutely constructive in supporting our transformation. Ladies and gentlemen, I just said our foundation is our people. They are united by their commitment and enthusiasm for our group. They make it the distinctive company, your Salzgitter AG. Dear shareholders, our workforce is made of people from a wide range of nationalities, ethnicities, religions, backgrounds, nationalities, sexual orientations, and worldviews. Any attempt, from what side ever, to divide this community into good and bad, in welcome and unwelcome, represents a direct threat to our company and to the people. And we, the workforce, co-determination and company management will counter these dividers together with a clear voice, not with us. We have joined the Respect No Space for Racism initiative over 10 years. Signs like these here can be found everywhere in our company. This shows clear that giving a sign that in our companies xenophobia and intolerance have no space, neither today nor in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the European elections are just a few days away. Salzgitter sells around 80% of its products to European customers, and almost 90% of our workforce work in countries of the European Union. A strong and democratically legitimated European Parliament is of essential decision for us, therefore, and a high voter turnout is a basic prerequisite for this. And we are not alone for this call. Just see for yourself.
Weil das europäische Projekt weitergeführt werden soll.
Die zahlreichen Errungenschaften wie grenzenloses Reisen und eine gemeinsame Währung sind keine Selbstverständlichkeit. Sie müssen verteidigt werden. Es ist wichtig, seine Stimme über die Zukunft Europas abzugeben. Je mehr Menschen wählen gehen, umso stärker ist die Demokratie. Nutze deine Stimme und gehe wählen.
Hallo, ich bin der Selahattin Cekic. Ich arbeite als Projektingenieur bei Mannesmann Precision Tubes im Werk Wickede. Ich gehe zur Europawahl am 9. Juni, weil ich mein Wahlrecht nutzen möchte und meinen Beitrag zur Gestaltung einer starken und gemeinsamen EU. Ein wesentlicher Vorteil der EU ist meiner Meinung nach die Freizügigkeit innerhalb der EU-Mitgliedstaaten. Dadurch ist es uns möglich, einfach Reisen zu tätigen, sei es privat oder auch dienstliche Reisen, beispielsweise zu unseren Schwesterwerken in den Niederlanden oder auch in Frankreich. Darüber hinaus ist ein wesentlicher Vorteil der EU die länderübergreifende Kooperation für globale Probleme und Herausforderungen. Eine hohe Wahlbeteiligung bei der Europawahl setzt ein starkes Zeichen für europäische Werte wie die Freiheit, Demokratie und Menschenrechte.
Ein demokratisches Europa
A
steht
democratic Europe stands for security, prosperity and peace, and it is up to all of us on the 9th of July. Ladies and gentlemen, after these introductory remarks, I would like to inform you, dear shareholders, about the situation of our company Salzgitter AG in 2023. As you know, and I underpinned this last year, the development of occupational safety is of particular importance to me. And 2023, mainly due to several accidents involving employees of external companies, has turned out worse than 2022. The long-term trend, however, is intact, but I clearly want to make sure here that these short-term developments that we have seen here do not make us happy, do not satisfy us. Our goal is and stays zero accidents. And this is why we continue our efforts to reduce these accidents rates consistently. What does that mean? In the current year, we are developing our group-wide integrated occupational health and safety strategy. We have one. We will refine it, and we are going to extend the accident monitoring by integrating the temporary workers into this data collection system, giving us a bigger database from which we will derive the right actions to take in order to improve our occupational safety in the future. And last but least, also our external company employees. We've heard it, that we have many external company workers on our factories in Salzgitter at the moment are going to be involved. And that gives us an even more holistic and extensive approach to occupational safety and health protection. And with that, we will have everybody covered on our company premises. And I think these are the right steps to walk towards our zero accident targets. As a long-term shareholders, you are familiar with our group strategy, Salzgitter AG 2030. You know the cornerstones. These are consistently driven forward. The focus is and remains three core topics: circularity, pioneering. We want to move forward as pioneers, and partnering. That means with the right partners, drive our transformation forward stable and resiliently. And one of the cornerstones of the strategy is the consistent implementation of SALCOS, our pioneering approach to decarbonizing the steel production with the target goal 2033. The implementation of the SALCOS is in full swing in its first stage. But we have also driven forward the strategy in other areas of business. I'll give you two examples. One is our new heat treatment line, Arquetta in Ilsenburg. I reported about this last year. It has been ramped up. It is in operation. And with that, we can open new market potentials and by that better position ourselves in the thick plate market. Winning market share. The second thing I'd like to mention, maybe not intuitively accessible at the moment because it concerns our current situation. We have added a new furnace, preparing it for the next 10 years of production. This is important because our furnaces are needed in the phase of transformation to supply the products to our customers they need and make the money that we still need for the transformation. So with this furnace, we secure the steel production for the next 10 years and make sure that we will successfully and economically complete the transformation by the time plan. In all these tasks, we have not forgotten one thing, which is our internal fitness. And you've had in the strategy 2030 that we have a more active portfolio adjustment, and also we have improved our Performance 2026 program, and that has been refined as well. You said we wanted to have 150 to 200 million euros EBT in 2026. With the current situation that we have in the markets and with the ideas that we have in the companies to generate, we have sharpened this goal and now look at a corridor of 200 to 250 million euros, fully effect in 2026. A major element of our strategy, as I said, is decarbonization. This doesn't only include Salzgitter. We think decarbonization holistically. That means we scope 1, 2, and 3. You remember, scope 1 are the emissions that we generate ourselves. Scope 2 are the ones that we bring into the products by energy supplies, and scope 3 are the upstream emissions. Specifically, this means, if we look at the holistic approach, that in 2023 we have joined a Science-Based Target Initiative, SBTi, with the aim to define a clear and transparent CO2 reduction targets in line with the Paris Climate Agreement. In 2023, we formalized these decarbonization approach and goals and submitted them to the SBTi. The targets that we have derived from that, based on scientifically recognized evidence that provides us to deliver the 1.5-degree target as in the Paris Climate Agreement. The validation progress, which is done by the SBTi, is going to be completed over the next near future, and that will give us a clear and reliable target and path that we want to follow and be measured by you. Besides the CO2 minimization goals, we got a very nice certification this year, early this year, for our work in the decarbonization. In April this year, we have signed 2 so-called ECA-covered green loan financings, transformation loans based on green transformation, totaling to 500 million. So these are building blocks to our Salzgitter on the base of our green transformation, and that we are a pioneer here is seen in the fact that these are the first ECA-covered corporate loans globally in the steel industry and the first ones in Germany at all. So here at Salzgitter, we are moving forward here and don't think transformation on the technical and cultural side, but on the financial side. So that is what we think is holistic, and that is obligatory for us to move forward. I've said, so the core element of decarbonization is Salzgitter. And by now, it is much more than just our decarbonization program of a steel mill in Salzgitter. Let's recall we have made an investment decision, building of 100 megawatt electrolyzers. We are building a direct reduction plant, which allows us to reduce pellets and transform them into iron. And we are building an electric arc furnace, which will melt the pellets so that we can go back to our liquid iron, which we can then roll in our mills that we have in Salzgitter. In total, we are investing 2.3 billion euros, including 1.3 from our own funds. The construction work is progressing rapidly. And as it looks, you can see in the film.
Herzlich willkommen und moin hier direkt vom Baufeld Salzgitter. Ich freue mich, Ihnen heute ein kleines Update zu geben, denn hier passiert's.
Knapp 2 Jahre nach der Investitionsentscheidung sind die Arbeiten für die erste Ausbaustufe der Transformation in vollem Gange. Für die erste Stufe werden eine 100 Megawatt Elektrolyseanlage, eine Direktreduktionsanlage und ein Elektrolichtbogenofen errichtet. Und das alles in laufendem Produktionsbetrieb. Für die neuen Anlagen wurden die Baufelder freigemacht, Hunderte von Bohrpfählen eingebracht und zahlreiche Fundamente für die aufgehenden Bauteile und Anlagen hergestellt. An mehreren Stellen sind die Fundamentarbeiten schon so weit fortgeschritten, dass wir bereits den Stahlbau in die Höhe bauen. Das geschieht zum Beispiel bei der Megamedientrasse, die neuen Anlagen mit verschiedenen Gasen wie Wasserstoff und Erdgas sowie Dampf- und Druckluft versorgen wird. Auch wenn Salzgitter mit Beton und Stahl errichtet wird, entscheidend sind die Menschen auf den Baustellen, Planungsbüros und der Projektleitung. Um diese auf der Baustelle gut zu versorgen, wurden zusätzliche Büros, Sanitärbereiche, eine Kantine für die temporäre Nutzung eingerichtet. Auch der Ausbau des 380 kV Stromnetzes läuft von Seiten des Stromnetzbetreibers sehr gut voran. Arbeitssicherheit hat die höchste Priorität. Dies wird in der Hütte und auf den Baustellen regelmäßig thematisiert.
Hier passiert's.
This is where it happens. Start of production for this first stage of transformation will remain 2026. And the goal is still in line that in 2033 we will complete the transformation. And Mr. Winter has said so. We're going to use the year 2024 to implement the next steps, which we have to do now in order to accomplish that goal. Now, let's move on to something completely new. As an industry, for the first time, it's the first time that the steel industry as a whole has set forth a definition of a green product. We've answered the question, what is green steel? And as a German steel industry, we have been doing pioneer work globally, and we've answered this with the synonymous less low-emission steel standard that is giving the precondition for the introduction into green markets, markets that rather use green products. You can only do this if you only know what is green, and for the first time we have decided what is green steel, and we also made sure that this green steel is certified independently so that we can cover the greenwashing points immediately. So we have brought in independent certification companies who certify us and others independently to produce green steel. And we brought this to the public together with the Federal Minister of Economic Affairs at the Hanover Fair this year. So the less standard is in the market now. And this is something that makes us proud if we can say that the Federal Minister labeled less as the lead label for green markets when he gave his dossier on the green markets 10 years ago. This is something we as an industry are and can be proud of.
Finde ich auch. Und wir als Unternehmen
And as a company, we follow this, answering the question of what is the market appearance for green steel? How do we market it? And you know, Sarkos, as a brand for transition, we have decided to use Sarkos as the label for the green products as well. So whenever you see Salzgitter steel and see that in the racks of your dealer, that is a CO2 reduced product from us, pre-materials and the respective processing steps. I think with that we have created a strong picture for the transformation in our customers as well. However, Salzgitter is not the only strategic agenda that we have driven forward in 2023. There are a number of different topics. I said that when preparing the strategy, we also analyzed our investment portfolio, and we have wanted to activate it, and we have looked at the content of the portfolio and which of these activities are actually the best owner for future developments. And there are companies where we clearly are the best owner. There are companies where we may not be, and we as Salzgitter cannot contribute to develop that field of business in the best way as others may be able to do. And this best owner principle has been applied in our portfolio, and we have made some decisions on this. I've talked about the sale of Salzgitter Bauelemente, and I have also announced that we are going to sell the American plants of Europipe. These transactions have been completed. Also last year, we have sold our 23% stake in Mannesmann Boro to Borasan. Also here, no strategic connection to the 2030 strategy, and we can't contribute enough to develop that company forward. We are currently in the process of selling Mannesmann Stainless Tubes Group, MST, to the Italian stainless steel producer Cognan. They are the only company in the group that makes stainless steel. We don't produce this, so we don't provide the pre-materials. Connie is. And so here we have created a connection, found a new home for MST, which helps it to develop faster and stronger in its own way, other than it could have done inside the Salzgitter Group. And the right question that I get here is what you do with the money. Of course, the revenue that we get from these transactions are going to be used to develop the strategic core fields that we have set out in our strategy, qualitatively and quantitatively. I'll come to that. This best owner principle also applies the other way around. Businesses where we clearly can say we are the best owner, we are the right people to drive this business field forward. That is where we invest. We invest in existing companies, in the business, in order to align it closer with Salzgitter AG 2030. I'll give you 3 examples. The first one is that with our subsidiary Doimo that does this scrap recycling activity, we have been investing in a large shredder in Salzgitter. We are investing 30 million euros in a future shredding and sorting technology, allowing to process old scraps, so-called post-consumer scraps, that is cars or fridges, at the end of their life cycle. And this shredder allows us to turn this into high-grade scrap qualities, which we need for Salzgitter in order to produce high-quality steels and steel grades. With this investment, we are fulfilling the customer requirements to the green steel and to the performance of our customers. And also, we strengthen our position in a market, which is the scrap market, which, with the development of the transformation of the steel industry, not only in Germany, but worldwide, is going to be highly sought after. We see a high demand for scrap. Our competitors try to get their hands on scrap, and with the investment which will be online and active together with Salzgitter in 2026, we have the opportunity to cover this bottleneck in the market. The second example comes from the hot rolling mill in Salzgitter. It takes up the slabs and rolls them out to flat steels. And here we are planning to replace 2 old pusher-type furnaces with 1 modern walking beam furnace. Why do we do this? Because we increase energy efficiency, replacing 2 old, relatively inefficient drives by 1 highly efficient walking beam furnace. And second, we also pave the way to the next step because this furnace is H2 ready. That means the burner technology will allow us to use hydrogen 100% once it is available. So it's going to be free of CO2. That means we are ready planning the next steps in the performance of the transfixion. The third step, we're looking to Mannesmann Goldblech in Mülheim. We're looking for a new hot straightener here. This straightens the rolled plates to make them real flat and improve their quality. Another step. And with this investment, we open new markets. We open the market of the wind turbine industry. We're all seeing that the wind industry is a strongly growing market. And a wind turbine, if you look at the offshore windmills, each mill has 3,000 to 4,500 tons. Onshore is a little less base. So we're looking at large quantities of steels here that are necessary in order to make the energy turnaround a success. Prospectively, green steel. For NGB, this means with this new straightener, we have the opportunity to fulfill this quality, this market with the quality they need, high, thick, strong steel plates. And that this bears fruit, I can report. And currently, last week, we have closed an agreement with Siemens Gamesa, one of the leading makers of wind turbines, and they are going to be supplied with plates from Mannesmann for the Siemens Gamesa Greener Tower. That is a strongly CO2-reduced wind tower using 63% less CO2 in building. We use mainly Mülheim Groebler steels, parts of them from Ilsenburg, and we see here that we are able to open new markets, and this straightener is to enhance this even further. Dear shareholders, this is where it happens. I hope I could make clear this now is not just a slogan. We are fulfilling our promise to you and to the society to develop Salzgitter AG to a modern pioneer to low CO2 steel production here in Germany. And that is going to be economically successful if politicians play their part. Financial support and reliable and fair framework conditions are what we need beyond election periods and party interests, because our investment cycles do not stop at the next election, be it in European or local parliaments. They don't stop with legislative budgets, so we need a long-term plannable future. What does that mean? And I'll give you 3 clear points. We need a clear commitment of all parties to the Paris Climate Agreement. Industry, Salzgitter AG, has embarked down the path to fulfill the agreement. So we need stability that this also will be the right path for society to head down to. The second is we need consistent trade policy. We need safeguard mechanisms. We have to make sure that countries with less ambitious CO2 targets, like as the countries then the European Union, have the same rules in the market, and countries that work with unfair strategies, that we counteract these with clear rules. And the third point is the most important point, I think, which is energy energy policy, and I'd like to highlight 2 points here. If today we talk about energy products and prices today in the EU, we often hear, well, the prices are where they were before the war. That's not quite right. The past 2 days, a couple of days have shown that the energy prices have climbed up, also due to higher CO2 prices. But in general, we could say that's right. Okay, but policy forgets one major factor, and that is the infrastructure. The usage fees since the beginning of the war have increased considerably, and the consumption payments that we had until the end of last year have been cancelled after the rule of the federal court. The reduction of fees has been cancelled, and for us that needs 30 million euros extra pay with a climbing trend. We need a clear answer from politics here on how they are going to support the energy-hungry industries to put us on level in competition with a global market. The second point is access to low CO2 hydrogen. We need access to it. First, we need the infrastructure to the core network so that the hydrogen arrives at the site in Salzgitter, and we need access to CO2 low hydrogen that we can use. In the term of infrastructure, the start has been started. The ecologic model is started as well, later than before. So this is how far things go in politics. And it also means that only in 2029 we will be connected to the hydrogen grid. From 2026 we will have our equipment ready for hydrogen. In 2029 we'll get connected only. That means every year that we're not connected, but our technology is there, we have about 1 million ton of CO2 per year, which would be available and avoidable if we were quicker in providing the connection. Here we have to say we are where we are. We are doing everything to accelerate the ramp up to reduce the CO2 emissions. That means consequently we need access to green energy. We need renewable energies to do long-term power purchase agreements at competitive prices, and we need access to CO2 low hydrogen. And we need it now because we are transforming now. Our conclusion is #this is where it happens, applies to us, but it must apply to politics as well. Let me move from demands to policies to our own expectations now. They are quite simple: to be successful economically. And the financial year 2023 does only fulfill this to a limited extent. We have to agree this. We have seen reductions in 2023. That is because the revenue for the steel has dropped, for the steel products have. We are starting from a very high level in the record year 2023, but throughout the year we have seen a reduction in most steel products. The positive point, however, is the result of the technology area, especially our subsidiary KHS. A strong performance here across the year 2023, a record order intake at KHS and a record EBT result are strongly visible, clearly visible contributions to the overall result. However, high inflation rate and a slowing economic momentum nevertheless dominated the events over the year, and we see that in the figures. That means against this background, we generated an EBITDA of 677 million euros and a pre-tax profit of 238 million euros. This is something that we, in the context that we are in, as just satisfactory. Now, some of you who have been accompanying Salzgitter a long time, this is a representative result. Yes, in earlier years this would have been the case, but due to the high investments that we are implementing now, the transformation we are in, this is not enough to transform the company in the long term. That means our level is higher, at least in the long term, to make the company more profitable. 238 million euros EBT. Ladies and gentlemen, dear shareholders, it is your share in this result. Mr. Wente has said so in his introductory remarks. It is a proposal of the Supervisory Board and the Executive Board to distribute a dividend of 45 cents per share for the year 23. If we exclude the COVID years and the exceptional years 2021 and 22, which had special effects, which is the Ukraine war, with the artificially positive result, the amount proposed for the dividend is even slightly above the long-term level from the previous years. And this is in a time, which I've just said, where we are making by far the largest investment in our company, in the company's history. In this respect, we believe that a dividend of 45 euro cents per share are appropriate in the view of an increasingly challenging course of the business for the year to come. And with this cushioning the economic fluctuations in the steel business for you, our shareholders, and we thus continue our policy of continuous dividend payment, and we see this as a proof of our reliable partnership with you. I have talked about the last year, and let me give you a brief view on the first quarter 2024. It was characterized by a very weak economic environment, and the steel business areas have been suffering under very low demand and at the maximum stable results. We've started with a quarter where raw material prices haven't dropped as our sales prices on the product side. We are also started in a year where technology, especially the subsidiary KS, showed a pleasing performance. Based on the development of last year, these projects are now being implemented, and that will contribute to the year 2024 result. If we look at these two sides, I think it's fair to say that the first quarter 24 was mixed. Our external turnover, driven by the steel parts of the group, due to the low average gain, profit has dropped. The EBITDA amounted to 126 million, and the earnings before taxes were 17 million. If we look at the main drivers, it was the technology business unit with 30 million euros, and our investment in Aruba's in 25 million. You see that these figures show that the conditions for the steel market at the moment are nothing good. We see limited recovery, but not large, and this is Siemens Gamesa Greener Tower, a project that we've won, I just mentioned, but we'll only implement it next year. And another example is we've got a major order for Mannesmann large pipes from Fluxys, a Belgium gas provider. Only that will be effective next year in the results. So we do see some spot markets, but it is not an overall general phenomena that we see in the steel market. And this is why our determination to improve our own efficiency and performance, quite clearly, we're going to look at the investment planning and look at what we really can and have to do this year. We're going to look at the costs. Here again, we're going to see what we may not be doing this year, what we're not going to be doing at all, and what we will be doing in the future. We're also going to look at the staff levels that we've planned. and then how far will we cover the market developments with this and maybe slow down hirings? With all this, we have started to work in the market with the management guidance. I think the perspective of the next months, we are sailing hard on the wind. And the expected, not only forecast by us, a recovery of the German economy has so long failed to materialize, especially in our core markets, automotive, mechanical engineering, and building energy. We in Germany haven't seen in the first 3 months of 2024 very strong weaknesses. And this directly affects the business of the steel-related companies. And this means starting from the first quarter results, we are coming to an overall guidance of an EBITDA of 550 to 625 million and a profit prior to taxes 100 to 125 million euros. I said this in order to cover the adversities of the market, which are there. Undoubtedly, we will sharpen our earning improvement measure once again, review investments and material costs and staff. Despite all these challenges that we have, I've said so, we are sailing hard on the wind. We are going to hold our course. We are following it. And we are working on SALCOS implementation and decarbonization because we clearly see that our stakeholders, the people in companies around us, see this path as the right path to follow. Not only we do this, that is what our customers tell us. I've talked about the banks who reflect this. I've talked about we hear this from the regulatory bodies and politics. It is not for nothing that we got the 1 billion fundings and subsidies. So we are following our strategic goals. That we may get some gusts that we have to stand up to is what I've just said, but we will stand up with the course. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to summarize in conclusion. I think we have been able to show that with the results that we have delivered in this difficult environment, that we managed to strengthen the resilience of our company in the recent years. We are able to hold our position in important markets, and we are able to open new markets. We also see that diversification of Salzgitter AG is paying off. Our technology division is performing strongly in 2024 and clearly contributes to the result of the group. I have said so. We are consistently driving forward the implementation of Salzgitter AG 2020-30 because this strategy is right. And not only we believe this, but our stakeholders believe it, who buy our steels and will do so, and those who are employees working on this transformation. The year 2024 will be challenging for us in a number of areas. It will be a challenge, but we accept this challenge. We are prepared and with a clear view on the objective and our own performance and the things that we have to improve in the performance, and we work closely along to our customers and their needs. And we do this joint up and with joint forces, with the employees, with the workforce, with co-determination and management. This is how we live, people, steel and technology. This is where it happens. Thank you for your attention and good luck.
Ja, vielen Dank, Herr Groebler.
Mr. Groebler, thank you very much for that detailed report and for your in-depth comments on the current situation. I would like to thank those people viewing on the screens for their participation, and the public live stream on the web will now be